There we go. I'm you. What is that? What's that picture of me doing up there? Oh, I got to put the damn camera on or something.
You got on your computer screen, just turn your video on. That may be.
Got it.
What's going
That's
on
when I wasn't so fat and I'm so old, you know? What's happening?
right now? Are you at the gym? Are you at your house?
No, I'm at the gym, man.
All
Yeah.
right. So what's going on before we start? We could rap for a minute or two without getting started on this. What's going on with you guys? Like, what's your status down there out in Florida right now?
Well, they shut us down. Actually, the city that we're in actually came in and shut us down even before they mandated everybody else in the area. I guess the city manager decided that they wanted to stop the gyms from being open. So, they shut us down and, we just kind of transitioned into all the online stuff. We try to do the Zoom stuff, which, some people like it, some people don't. And then, we're just doing mainly like customized program design. I'm letting everybody borrow equipment and stuff like that. So we're just trying to keep people happy so they stick around until the doors open again, which we're hoping is going to be, 4 weeks, 6 weeks. We'll see,
Yeah, we're in the same boat out here, and let me tell you the reason I get on these calls now. I should have been doing this a long time ago, and when we got shut down, I was like, all right, so we're doing the Zoom stuff. We have classes that are pretty filled. Everyone seems pretty happy, and I was like, at this time we have to over deliver too, right? You got to organization, also got to provide some educational pieces that maybe we weren't doing before that we should have, especially when you get around this. You've been around this industry as long as the both of us have. You end up running into some folks, and that's so this whole process for me is anyone that's ever been involved in where I am today in my fitness career. I've been in the fitness industry for almost 20 years, and when I first found I was doing CrossFit-like workouts, I guess, before I even knew what CrossFit is. And we're going to talk about what even is CrossFit, because I think people have no idea, right? Like, CrossFit's changed.
Till this day, yeah.
So I went down to Florida to visit my grandmother, actually, and I'm looking for a gym, and I'm like, I'm going to go try this gym out. And what was it called at the time?
CrossFit Affliction.
That's what it was, dude, because I remember I went there. People wore Affliction shirts, and it was CrossFit Affliction, this strip mall, and it was this little place. And I walk in, and I'm like, all right, and I talked to you, and your wife was there, and she was a beast, and it was my first really experience. But I would say that the reason I was drawn to it because it was another workout that kicked my ass, number one. Number two, the people that were delivering the service were actually passionate and gave a fuck about what they were doing. And that, for me, being a lifelong coach in this fitness space, I appreciated that. And ever since then, so I went back and I affiliated not much later at all. That was years ago. What year was that?
I remember that. That had to be 2009, 2008, 2009.
It had to be, because I bet you that space is now the size of your current office or your front desk.
It's funny you say that, dude, because that is what that's exactly when people come in, I'm like, this is what my original spot used to look like, our office area, because it was about 800 square feet.
Yeah.
We had the outdoor area, but, when we got in there, I ripped everything down and just had 3 rowers, 2 squat racks. I freaking drilled into the girder, the beam, pull-up bars. And we just had one straight pull-up bar. We didn't have much, man. And we made it work. We had all that brand new equipment from Right Equipment. And, yeah, we just started, I started taking every freaking cert there was because I wanted to learn, because I didn't know anything about Olympic lifting. I'm what the hell is this shit, It was embarrassing. I remember one time I programmed Grace, and these 2 girls from Michigan showed up as a drop-in, and I'm trying to show them how to do clean and jerks, and I'm like, holy shit, these chicks were like, here, let me show you how to do it. They're lifting, they're doing it with 135 like it's nothing, and I'm like, oh man. And right after that, and that was right in the beginning, right after that, I'm like, okay, sign up for the Olympic weightlifting cert, sign up for the powerlifting, everything, I just wanted to learn everything there was about this whole methodology of CrossFit. And that's what's kind of cool about, to me, CrossFit is kind of like trying to be a triathlete, you know, like you're a cyclist or you're a runner or you're a swimmer, and all of a sudden you're like, you know what, I want to do all of it, you know. And that's what basically, in my opinion, that's what CrossFit is. It's a combination of everything all in one. You want to be strong, you want to be fit, you want to have lung capacity, you want to be, you know, have gymnastics down. I mean, it's the hard, in my opinion, it's the hardest sport there is. There's no other way to put it, man. If you want to compete in it, you know.
Interesting you say that, and I haven't even asked you about, you know, to for my people that are listening, like who the hell you even are, right? Because you touch on such deep issues that got a lot of the small talk out of the way, and talking about like what is this CrossFit thing. Let me tell you what I'm hearing from the community, what I'm hearing from my athletes, what I'm hearing from other CrossFits, other people looking to do it, is when I did this back in your gym, or let's say back in 2008, I would walk into a gym and we would actually learn how to, like, say we were doing Fran, we would learn how to do thrusters, learn how to do some pull-ups, and then we just do Fran, and we would leave.
Mm-hmm.
Now back then, and then you'd run a 5K some days, and like you would take a rest day, you would do deadlift 5x5, and that's actually the CrossFit I fell in love with, right? And I don't know if you went through this phase in your CrossFit career, but within the first 3 years doing CrossFit, I drank the Kool-Aid. I did. And I did things that were probably maybe not CrossFit, what it was intended. And you see that now, that's like almost the norm in boxes, like to have so many components to workouts, and workouts that literally beat the shit out of you. And it's like, what was CrossFit then's mission statement? What did it become, and what's it going back to? I don't know if you can comment on that. Well, actually, I know you can, because you've seen the whole circle.
Yeah, I think in the beginning, you know, like it was more geared towards like it was almost like an underground secret group. Like I don't want to use the word cult, but it really was. It was like almost like a little bit of a cool online workout where you go on there and like see what the workout of the day was. And, you know, they all, once a year, you can just go to this, you know, this ranch in California, and you can see people competing, and, you know, they would throw all kinds of shit at you, whether it's running up a hill with a sandbag on your back, or, you know, it's just morphed into, I think now it's so much more scientifically backed as far as the training, because, you know, like you said, you fell into that trap too, dude. Trust me, man. If I wasn't on the ground at the end of the workouts dying, I felt like I wasn't working out. And the problem is that worked for about maybe a few years, especially when I was a little younger. But then I started realizing that there was definitely some sort of a hormonal response where my body was starting to really ache a lot. And I was really starting to kind of fuck myself up a little bit. So I had to learn from Kelly Starrett how to do mobility work, and, you know, recovery and nutrition became a big issue. You know, look, I mean, I was fortunate enough to get into it really, really early. So I knew a lot of the local games athletes when they were like nobodies. Like Noah Olson used to come to our gym and train, and, you know, several others. And, you know, dude, those guys didn't give a shit about nutrition because they were just able to get away with it. You know, now things are different, man. They know that they have to do every single – maybe they were great getting away with eating McDonald's or whatever the hell they did, but now they realize that there's a lot of people out there that are great getting away with it, but you have to try to get that little bit of an edge. So maybe if you do clean up your nutrition and your recovery and your movement patterns are a little bit better than the other guys, then you can just kind of beat them by a half a second in a workout, you know, because things have, you know, look, the CrossFit Games, I don't think it's ever going to be the way it was. It's kind of fallen off a little bit. Because look, it's a business just like everything else. Unless some big company takes it over and they really want to make it a televised event on Channel 7 or whatever, you know, it's tough, because Greg was losing money doing all these regional locations. And he's like, I can only get away with it for so much. Eventually I'm going to lose, you know, all the money that I built up. So things, it kind of changed. And now I think it's kind of maybe going back to, you know, its roots.
Yeah.
I wish I could say something. I just heard something, but they're going to announce it. I just can't say it. But let's just say, remember me saying it's going to go back to its roots.
Or I'm
Okay? Yeah.
listening to what you're saying and stay tuned. Because I have a feeling it is. You know, I think the direction that the competitive CrossFit kind of athlete has gone, I think now there's actually more of a means to make a living as an athlete. I think it was better that the games had handed off regionals to these kind of sanctionals that are happening.
Yeah.
It's getting a lot better. And this goes, you were involved in another for-profit fitness league. So we're gonna talk about that. But I think this provided more of a means for these regional level athletes that were never gonna get there to be on stage at these sanctionals and get some sponsorships, get a little bit of money out of it, maybe get a free gym membership where you're training. Because I don't know what their compensation is, but I'm just saying, I think it's provided those people that want to compete in the sport of fitness a better avenue to do that. It
Yeah.
makes. Do you think that?
Yeah. I mean, look, back in the day, I know a lot of these competitors, you know, when they were sponsored, they just get free product. That's it. They weren't getting any compensation. Maybe if they were lucky, they would fly them out and cover their expenses for a competition somewhere. And hopefully they would win. And then that way they'd get prize money. But now, from what I understand, they're taking it a lot more serious and they get paid pretty decent amount of money. As long as they hold up to their end of the bargain, where they're doing a lot of, you know, Instagram posting and all that other stuff, social media, to help the companies build up their revenue. But yeah, it's definitely changed over. And we could talk about the National the Grid League if you want to, because that was you hit it right on the head, man. You know, it's if that Pro Grid League would have actually started like a year ago instead of like 3 or 4 years ago, I think it would have been a huge success.
Right. I want you to talk a little more about that. What was your involvement? Can you tell us just a little history of that league, when it was developed, what your role in it was, and why you think it ended? Because for a lot of us, it was something that was there, then all of a sudden it wasn't. Right.
Yeah. So what happened is I ended up linking up with Tony Budding. Somebody reached out to me and said, "Hey, they're starting this fitness league is kind of spawning off of CrossFit. And now what they're going to do is, you know, Tony Budding was with CrossFit HQ for a long time. And he noticed that the teams version competitions was really, you know, he felt like, man, there's definitely an opportunity here, to whereas he wanted to start a league where it would be teams and they would basically it'd be like a 2 or 3 hour match on a grid that's about the size of a basketball court, and there would be different movements. It would be teams of men and women, you know, on the same team. And one of the athletes at the time had to be a master's athlete, 40 plus. It was kind of cool. I got the honor of being involved. I actually was the coach of the Miami Surge, and you know, I got to be a huge, you know, factor in, you know, I was involved as far as being able to help pick the team. And then I actually ran a camp at my facility down here in the Fort Lauderdale area. And I got to work with a lot of really, really high-end athletic CrossFit Games type athletes. And some of them weren't. I mean, I actually purposely picked a lot of them that actually weren't Games athletes, because I knew, you know, going into this, that when we were playing our matches, it was going to be right after the CrossFit Games. And I got nervous, and I'm thinking, wow, these people are going to go to the games. They're going to be all banged up, and they're not going to be the same athlete that we picked up. So I actually purposely tried to get athletes that weren't Games quality athletes. They were just almost there. And that paid off big for us, man, because my first year, we only lost one match, and that was to the championship team, which was the DC Brawlers. Those guys were just amazing. They had an amazing coach. But, you know, I was involved as far as being a head coach, part owner, and it was, in my opinion, man, there was so much opportunity there. But the problem is we kind of lost a huge investor in the first year. So, you know, we had to tone it down the second year, and it just never seemed to recover after they didn't have the money, the revenue that they needed. It was on channel. It was on the NBC. It was on what channel was it on? It was like on the sports, NBC Sports or whatever. So it was televised, man, and there was opportunities there because Tony knew a lot of people at NBC, so he got it on TV. But the problem is, it was just they overspent in the beginning. They didn't cut any corners. They tried to run it like a professional, sports team, and they were actually paying the athletes pretty well. And even if they were only making like 4 or 5, 10,000 a year per athlete, and you have a team of 10 people, that's a lot of pressure on the team owners, man, for something that just started out. So if they would have started out a little bit more grassroots like CrossFit did, which that's what some of the spinoffs are doing now. There's actually a Florida Grid League, and there's a couple other grid leagues that are still around. And it's fun to watch, man. But if this National Pro Grid League would have actually started out a little slower and spent less, I think it would have been more successful. But like I was saying, after CrossFit HQ changed the games, I think if the Grid League was around, you would have seen a lot of interest in it, man. A lot of interest. Because, and I'll even say this, the first year when I was trying to recruit athletes, competitors, I was actually getting a lot of interest from some big name people, big names. But then they would be like, yeah, I'm in. And then before we would sign them up, Progenics would tell them, you're fired if you sign up with them.
Wow.
And they were given the command by somebody from HQ because HQ didn't back the Grid League in the first couple years because they felt like it was a little bit of controversial, which I kind of understand. But, it did kind of turn into a little bit of a dick measuring contest at one time. But I think if they could have both worked together, it would have been more successful for both the CrossFit Games and the Grid League, and they would have both still been more successful than they actually are now.
Yeah, and I totally agree. What was your roster like? Give me some names that are on that team.
Oh man, so I had Nick Urankar was like my main guy. He was a captain. I had oh my God, my mind is spinning right now. Telena, Fortunato, Lauren Brooks, Cassidy Lance, Alex Anderson, Julian Cerna. See, like, take a guy like Julian Cerna. He wasn't a games athlete that year, right? He ended up going to the games a couple years later on a team with CrossFit Soul. But there's a guy that was not a games athlete. When he came in, that guy would give his soul on that grid. And he would just smoke everybody, dude. If he would have been a games athlete, dude, he'd have been so banged up he wouldn't have been able to perform the way he did. Who else did I have? I'd have to pull it up, man. I'm getting old, dude. My memory's sucking. I'm forgetting names. Lot of really good athletes, man. Marcos Capolo. He was an absolute freaking beast. Listen, if you want to check out, if you go to YouTube and you look up Miami Surge versus New York Rhinos, and you watch that match down at University of Miami, you can watch the whole thing. It takes in an hour, like 90 minutes, an hour, 2 hours. But if you go to the last match, or not match, the last game, God, there's like 11.
That's part of the
components. Yeah. If you go to the last one, there was not one person in that stadium that was sitting down, dude. We actually came back and beat them in the final. Yeah. It was just amazing, dude. And it was a combination of our strategy worked out, and, New York had some, they had some issues with one of the movements where they kept getting flagged, but we came back and beat them, dude. And they had pretty much everybody on their team that you could think of. They had Amy Thor's daughter. They had Frazier was on their team. They had like all games athletes, bro. And we were like a bunch of scrubs. And we went in there and we ate them up, dude. We didn't eat them up, but we beat them. And it was awesome. It was like a buck, one of those moments for me where I was like, you know what? No matter what happens from here on out, it was a bucket list thing. You know what I mean? And it was so fun to watch. But I really do believe that Grid League could have like been like the next I'm not saying at the level of American Ninja, but it could have been something that you would have seen on TV, just like American Ninja, because it was fun to watch. It wasn't like some of the games, you know, when you watch some of the CrossFit games, it's somebody doing double unders for like 10 minutes. It's like, oh, this is boring. The cool thing about the grid is it was real quick, and you know, it was set up like a sports league, and it was fun to watch.
How is it set up? I mean, because those guys are from all over the place, and you're in Florida. How are you guys getting together to train, and like how you handling their programming? Like, what was going on with that?
So here's how I coached them. Here's how I ran it. We first of all, they all came down here for a camp for 2 weeks. I think it was like 2 weeks. We set them up in a house. They were all living in a house together, and they had access to my gym, and my gym is huge. And we would meet at the gym 2 times a day. We'd meet in the morning, and then we'd meet in the evening. What I would do is it was more about just learning how to work together as a team more than anything, because I always had my idea of coaching them was it didn't come down who was the best athletes on the team. It came back to who made the least amount of mistakes, because the mistakes really cost you. So if you're the team that makes 0 mistakes, even if you're slower or weaker, you're going to win. And that's exactly what we did. We kept training the movements, training how to transition, training flawlessly. And what I would do is I would basically set them up so we would practice the movements, and then we would do some strength training. And what really won my athletes over is I would give them time to do their own training as well. Because listen, they want to do their own stuff. They want to work on their strengths and weaknesses. So I gave them time to work on their own things as well. I wasn't like real controlling, like, no, this is the way you're going to do it and no other way. And, you know, the coach that came in after me, because after the second year, it was just overwhelming. I couldn't run my gym and be the head coach. I actually brought in another head coach, and I took the assistant coach role by choice, because I was like, this is too much. I'm losing a lot of my members. They need me. So, and that other coach that came in, he did the opposite. He tried to demand that they did his programming, and there was a lot of pushback with it. It didn't work out too well. So, but I think we ran a very successful camp, and everybody enjoyed it. It was definitely a fun time, bro. It really was. And like I said, they came down for like a week or two. We did a camp. We prepped for all the games, the matches, and then they went back home. And then whenever there was a match, our team would fly them to wherever it was, whether it was Boston, whether it was California, whether it was Texas. It didn't matter where it was. We'd all meet out there a few days before, and then we would actually go to a CrossFit gym and practice. We'd actually reach out, hey, can we use your facility? And everybody was pretty cool, man. Everybody was, they really enjoyed it, you know. Some of them were. There was a lot of haters, but there always is, dude. There always is. That's normal.
Everything, there's haters. With everything, man.
Yeah, it's all good, man.
You're the playground gym now.
Yeah.
Did you de-affiliate?
No, I'd never de-affiliate. They'd have to kick me out, dude. So that's a good one, man. That's a really good question. Thanks for bringing that up.
Because I'm at a point where I'm making decisions. I just want to get your point of view.
You know, we originally were CrossFit Affliction, right? There was a local guy that had the name CrossFit Broward that did park workouts. He gave up his affiliate because he wasn't really doing much with it. As soon as he did, I kind of reached out to him and said, hey, I know you don't have this name anymore. Are you okay if I use CrossFit Broward? Because I want to change my name. Because CrossFit Affliction, when we first met, I was training a lot of MMA guys. I had a lot of high-end MMA guys because where am I at? I'm in South Florida. You have all the all the guys down here from American Top Team, and I was training some of those guys. But the problem is my name was scaring the shit out of the normal housewife that wants to come in and get fit. It was scaring him. So reached out to this guy, said, do you mind if I take the name? And he's like, well, yeah, I kind of do have a problem with it. And I'm like, all right, it's really not yours, but all right, I won't be CrossFit Broward. I'll be Broward CrossFit. So I took the name Broward CrossFit. And then what ended up happening is, you remember, man, there was a phase where people just were afraid of the name CrossFit. So I'm like, okay, we do CrossFit, but we're also USA weightlifting. We're also USA powerlifting. We have a powerlifting team. We have a weightlifting team. We have CrossFit. We have a kids program. We have everything. So I'm like, the main name is going to be the Playground Gym, right? But we also have all those other, modalities, whatever you want to call it. So we changed our name to the Playground Gym, or we co-branded, but I'm always going to be Broward CrossFit. And I'm not going to lie to you, dude. I think I'm going to start using that name a lot more, because with the shit that's going on, I'm seeing a lot of gyms that are just going to be wiped out. And listen, I feel really, really horrible for some of these people. But what's happening is you're going to get a lot of them that are going to close for a few reasons. Number one, they can get a shitload of money for their equipment right now. Number two, they were just kind of doing it just to do it. It wasn't really like it was just kind of fun for them. It's not really a business. And now they're realizing it's going to start costing me money to keep my doors open. So a lot of them you're going to see, I'm not saying a lot, but you'll see some that are going to close. And thankfully now I don't see a lot of gyms that are doing stupid shit. And I'm sure you've seen it. We've had people come in here that are like, oh my God, I went to this place. Dude, I'm not going to lie. I swear I can't make this up. We had one guy come in and said, hey, I went to this gym to try it out. You know what the workout of the day was? 100 deadlifts for time, 315 for men, 225 for women. That was the workout of the day. So, even though the guy scaled it to like 135 pounds, the dude couldn't walk for like 3 days because he just came from being on the couch for like 6 years. So, no on-ramping, no nothing. So, I don't know about you, dude, but like from the beginning, we used to do an onboarding course. And now we have it set up where it's a tier thing. It's either 2, 10, or 20. And the reason why I do it too is because there are like some college kids locally where they can't afford to spend a lot of money on personal training. They want to get into the group. So I'll let them do like a 2-day crash course with a coach, and we'll really work with them, and we'll make sure everything's scalable when they do jump into class. But a lot of times when people come in, I'm like, look, you could do the 2-day crash course. It's like $199. Or if you really want to be better at this stuff and you want to be more advanced when you jump in the group, do a 10 or 20. And it's like 85 a session or 75 a session if you do 20. You can't believe just by saying that, like, hey, if you really want to be more advanced when you jump into class, just do some one-on-ones. That line has got me more one-on-ones than I actually can handle at times, and a lot of these gyms don't get it. They're like, yeah, I get it. You know what? It's harder. It's more work to do one-on-ones with people. But I have a whole curriculum of if they do 10 classes, we do 2 or 3 movements a day, then a workout with those movements. If they do 20, then we do 1 or 2 movements a day, and we do a workout with them. Have a curriculum set up, man. And I'm telling you, your people are going to be more invested. PT first. A lot of gyms say PT first. And the funny thing is, there's a lot of really good mentoring systems out there. I've never used one. I figured it out on my own. It's kind of common sense. I'm not saying that they're not good to use, but I just never used one.
Yeah. No, you're totally right. We're transitioning more to that, pushing that one-on-one over the group setting, because we're finding that the bigger you get, the more issues you have with the learning curve and who's jumping into your classes. And that word CrossFit, actually, I thought it hurt us for a little bit, and people were kind of afraid to come in. And now we spend a lot of time making them super, super comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah.
When they come into class. And actually, this remote kind of thing that we have to do now has even taught me, maybe some people are even too intimidated to walk in your door. Maybe you want to work with them remotely first one-on-one, right?
Yeah, you could, yeah.
Dumbbell, you can teach them how to deadlift with a dumbbell, like you can, so this whole process made me realize we could probably reach more people like this.
Definitely.
And I don't know if you feel this way, but about this whole virus thing, it's a crisis, right? But I believe that a lot of good opportunity will come out of this crisis for people in this space, right? Because now more than ever, people are going to be like, oh shit, I should take care of myself, right? So I guarantee this, that as soon as people are allowed to reopen and get out back into civilization, CrossFit gyms that stay open through this are boom, bigger than New Year's resolution.
Yeah.
You're a good gym and you have good coaching and you give a fuck.
Yeah.
That.
I agree.
Done?
I agree.
Done. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. And I think there is going to be, an opportunity for remote too. but I don't think it's going to be as big as a lot of people are boosting that it will be. Because I don't know about you, man, but everybody I'm talking to, all my members, they're like, I can't freaking wait to get back in the gym. I'm going crazy, you know?
Totally. And you know, what we're telling our folks right now, because we have almost 100% attendance at our virtual classes. I actually like, I actually want you to listen in. I want you to tell me no bullshit what you think of one of our classes. I'm gonna give you a link. I just want you to watch it.
Okay.
I want you to watch it and really tell me if you think they're because I say I have good coaches. I respect you. You've seen a lot of people coach. You know what I mean? I just want you to see it. But what we tell our people is, guys, we're doing a really good job just for one thing. Number one, you guys had a service that we still want to provide you guys, right? So we're giving it everything we got. Number two, we know you guys are coming back to our gym when we come back. But what we want to do is now we found a way to actually, we're not just CrossFit trainers. Like we have some degrees in the field. We have some certification. We're doing everything just like you guys are.
Yeah.
Do this for other people. We don't have to be pigeonholed into this CrossFit bias, you know, because we're delivering it. And maybe not for you guys, but for those guys.
Yeah.
And I think there's some merit to that. Like, is this ever going to be a full-time hustle for us? I don't know. But I think it's going to be something for sure. You know, I think it is.
I think, you know, one idea that I had, which I don't care about sharing it. I don't care if somebody else runs with it because I probably never will. But one idea I had was actually doing a remote program where you can actually put together a, you know, some equipment for them, you know, like a certain kettlebell weight, maybe certain bands, maybe give them certain, you know, even if you want to give them a barbell with a certain amount of weight, you know, and then now you have an equipment list that you can either A, sell them, or B, rent it to them, or make that part of the monthly membership. They're allowed to use it, you know? So.
I mean, there's so much opportunity here.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel bad for a lot of those CrossFit gyms that are gonna go out after this.
I do too, man. I really do. And I've already seen several. They're like, this is it, you know? And, you know, and I also see a lot of them bitching and moaning, waiting for some stimulus check or whatever. And I actually, you know, maybe I shouldn't have commented, but I just commented in another group like, dude, stop sitting around waiting for the rescue team, dude. Yeah. You know, toughen the fuck up and figure it out, you know? I mean, don't pay your rent, you know, cut back on your employees right now. You got to let them know, listen, I got to cut back, do some shit on your own, you know, and get through this, because just like you said, if you can survive in the next month or two, you may be surprised what's going to happen. You may see a group of people when you open that door, you know, and you're going to be like, wow, man, people are piling in, people are interested. Because I don't know if a lot of people want to go to a regular gym after this. They might want to go to a semi-private, and that's the way you should promote your gym. Like, look at this. Every 12 by 12, we have a person working out with their own gear, okay? You have a coach that walks around and monitors them. You know, there's a way to, you know, just like you said, there's opportunities here. You just have to hustle. You have to want it.
And you probably agree with this. You got to believe in what the fuck you do, man.
Yeah, and enjoy it.
Probably walked in some gyms, you're like, these guys don't give a shit. No. And it's apparent. You know, and if you don't, you should just get out of the field, because if you're not hustling, you don't care. It's done.
I agree with you. I mean, I agree with you. And your coaches got to give a shit too, because they're the front line. You know, I've seen some coaches that checked out, and, you know, the owners aren't making a change because it's convenient for them to be there and they don't have to do it. But, you know, you have to make sure these coaches are invested, and, you know, and they have to make a good amount of money too. You know, like I give my coaches the opportunity to do one-on-ones, like all those one-on-ones I talk about, I give them to my coaches. And, you know, usually it's about a 50-50 split, you know, but, you know, hey, to teach somebody some movements for $45, $50 an hour ain't bad. I don't think that's bad. You know?
How many are you still teaching a lot of group classes? Are you coaching a lot of group classes still? Or are you doing more private?
Personally, me, I only fill in once in a while, you know. I have a good core group of coaches. They do an excellent job. You know, like every once in a while, I'll do like a clinic, a weightlifting clinic or something like that, or nutrition, or, you know, whatever. You know, I'll cover classes. Like if one of my coaches has like a one-on-one, or like, hey, this kind of conflicts with, I'm supposed to run a class. Should I? I'm like, listen, instead of me taking a one-on-one and making $50, I would rather the coach make his $50 or 45 or whatever it is, and then me take the class. So number one, I get to be with the group so they don't forget who I am. And it gives a coach an opportunity to make a little bit more income.
Yeah. How big is your you have one location, right? Not do you have
Right now I have one. I had four. I have one. I sold one in Fort Lauderdale, and then the other two we ended up closing down. I took over one spot up in Boca, which was the books were cooked and everything. After we got in there, we realized we just ended up shutting the doors. And then another one down in Hollywood we had. It was a really, really bad location, and we were having problems with code enforcement. So thankfully we didn't lose money on either one. The other one in Fort Lauderdale did really well, and I ended up selling it. But unfortunately, after I got out of it, it went to shit, and they ended up closing. But this is the original spot. It's 10,000 square feet. It's basically we started off an 800 square foot little shithole, the one you were at. Here's a fun fact. There was a travel agency around the corner, like 3 doors down. That's where 2 or 3 of the hijackers that did the 9/11 hijacking bought their tickets because it was corrupt. It was a terrorist group. And I used to notice when I'd run in there like 6 o'clock in the morning, dude, 5 o'clock in the morning, I'd see all these like FBI guys like tucked down in their cars, and they were watching a mosque. There was a lot of terrorist connections in there. Pretty sad. But yeah, that was our first spot. It wasn't in the best area. One night I left, and then the barbershop next to me guy came in and shot some guy for his watch. I missed it because I had my gun in my bag. It would have been nice to see that, because I was a cop. I was a cop for 27 years. I retired like 6 years ago. So anyway, initial spot, 800 square feet, was there for about a year. Moved to this location. We moved into one bay, which was 2,200 square feet. Outgrew that. I think we hit about 120 members there. Then we went to open the wall. We hit like 200 members. Ended up in this spot. I think the peak we actually ever hit was like 270 members. Right now we're about 220 with about 20 on hold. But you know what? I'm fine with being there, man. It's so much easier. I don't care about numbers. You know, I actually have a pension too, so this is just kind of like fun for me. You know.
It's fun for you, but dude, you put a lot of work. I don't think it's just fun for you. You love it. You love it, man. You can tell.
Yeah, I get kind of hooked. I kind of am a workaholic though, bro. Like if I do something, I want to really, really do it right. And I definitely still have a passion, but I'm not going to lie, dude. 13 years going on this, man. And it's getting a little tougher as I age, man. I think I'm going to be 53. So it's getting a little harder, man. You know,
being a police officer.
I'm sorry, you cut out.
How long ago did you retire from being a police officer?
It's been like 6 years, man.
Wow. So now the gym is all you do.
The gym, I'm probably making more money in the stock market right now than the gym. I've done a lot. I got real estate. I have a cryo facility in here, which honestly, it doesn't do much at all. It's kind of like it's a fixed expense. I have a room. We have a cryo unit. We have, you know, sometimes it gets busier, but mostly it's just, you know, it pays its own bills.
Good investment? Was it not a good investment to do that?
No, I wouldn't suggest it.
Really? Good. Glad I heard that from you.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, you'd be surprised. I thought it would crank because we have a shitload of members that would use it. We only have a few members that use it. I get more people that come in to use it, and then they see our gym and go, holy shit, I want to join. Then I get people from the gym that actually use it.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, I thought about it. I was hot on the cryo for a couple months. I still would if the place was open near us, you know.
Yeah.
And then I knew you had one. I was like, I'm gonna ask him about it. But
you know, I'll tell you what, dude, like I guarantee you can find a unit really, really, really cheap. And if you have a room and you can throw it in there, it might not be a bad idea. But
you'll be able to find them on Facebook Market a little bit more often.
Yeah. No, they're out there. I mean, there's quite a few of them that are gone out of business, dude. So you could pick up a $50,000 unit for 15 grand all day long.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. how many times have you ever talked to Coach Glassman? Have you had Coach Glassman on the phone? Have you?
Yeah, yeah. Um, last time I got to talk to Greg was I was up at the games, not this year, but the year before, and literally we sat down for, I mean, I swear to God, dude, it was like an hour at an after party. He's seen me. I haven't seen him in a long time. He's seen me. He comes up. He sits down as soon as he walks in, and he's like, "What's up, Steve?" And I'm like, "Jesus, Greg, I didn't think you remembered me. It's been like 5 years." And we just chatted because, you know, kind of weird, man. I don't know why, but I know a lot of people in HQ that I'm really tight with. Great, great people, man. And for whatever reasons, like the word got back to Greg that I wasn't a fan. And it was like really stupid. And I think that's what he wanted to talk to me about, like just kind of see. And Greg's response is, how the fuck is he not a fan? He's been an affiliate going on 13 years, you know? And I'm like, yeah, exactly. So, you know, stupid rumors, man. I mean, it may have been a stupid comment on Facebook or something that somebody took out of context. Listen, I would never de-affiliate, dude. And, you know, for the amount of money we pay, you know, and first of all, I'd never forget, I'd never bite the hand that fed me. I always remember that. My start was because of Glassman, that it was so easy for me to open up a gym. Now, that worked for me because I continued on with my education. Unfortunately, for some people, that's actually not a good thing because they're not educated. They opened up super easy and they never got educated, so they were doing shitty training, and eventually they just shut down, you know. So it's a double-edged sword. But you know, with Greg, man, that guy would do anything for you, bro. Like if you just, you know, if you reached out to him and you needed help, that guy would do whatever he could to help you. You know, he's the type of guy that like he would pay a year's membership at your gym if he knew somebody in your area that needed it. He'd call you up and say, "Hey, here's a year's membership. I need you to train this guy." That's what he does.
Wow. But yeah, I knew you're one of them that actually had like you were tight with some of the leadership up in CrossFit. And you still are apparently. So I was just wondering, like, is he what's he like to talk to, man? Is he a good conversationalist? I sense that he would be, that you would have 1,000 things to talk to him about.
So when we were up at the games and it was me and um, Jay Lawson, he's got a gym, a CrossFit gym as well. And we sat and just bullshitted with him. And I laughed because Jay ordered a Coke. and Greg's got that war on soda. And Greg had a Coke on the table. And I was like, you dumbass, you know. But Greg don't care, man. He's the easiest dude to chat with. And I'm telling you, anybody that talks with Greg is going to fall in love with the guy because he really is sincere. He really is trying to help people. He's got an amazing heart. Although, listen, I don't work for him. And you know how it is. Sometimes when you work for people, things are a little bit different. You know, I think he's just matter of fact, like this is how shit's going to run. If you don't like it, get the fuck out. That's what I heard. But I think like if you're on his team and you believe in his product, that, you know, he's always put golden handcuffs on people where he pays them super well. I think he actually paid people too well where he had to cut a lot of staff when shit started getting slow, you know? But no, he's just the guy is almost like it'll mesmerize you. It almost brainwash you. Like he's just a very knowledgeable guy and he's very sincere. And, you know, it's fun to sit down and chat with the guy, man. He really is a cool dude.
The times I've heard him speak, and I try every time he has something like that, I try to take a listen. He reminds me a little bit of Steve Jobs.
Yeah.
He has
Yeah.
characteristics, and after I read Steve Jobs' book, I was like, Glassman's kind of like the Steve Jobs, like he really is. Like,
Yeah. It is. And he does, you know, it's California, you know, these California boys, bro, you know. You're from Jersey. I'm from Jersey. You know how it is.
from Jersey, I was like, you know what? I'm in PA now, but I was like, I'm gonna sit on my stoop and do this like I would, as if I would be in Jersey. This is actually what we've been doing. But I was actually watching my kids out here. Now I have no idea where they've run off to. Be safe, right? It's PA.
Yeah.
But all right, dude. Listen, I want to be respectful of your time. I appreciate you hopping on today. I think
Anytime.
great conversation, man. It was cool to catch. stuff. And we should do this more often, man.
Yeah, we can, man. We can. Send me that link. I'll check out your Zoom. It's funny because I'm not gonna lie, dude. My Zoom class I do right now. We do an 8 a.m., a 4 p.m., and a 6 p.m. And
Yeah.
we also go Facebook Live with it on our page, the Playground Gym.
Yeah.
And not a lot of people jumping on because of time restrictions, but they may watch it later. They see the workouts. I actually sent something out that maybe Saturday at 7 p.m. if anybody wants to jump on Zoom, maybe just hang out, drink some beers, and talk about nutrition. We'll eat like shit and drink and talk about eating good, and I probably have a shitload of people jump on that Zoom call.
Dude, you will. We've done some really creative stuff. Like, I mean, we probably have to jump on another call for me to tell you what we've done, but we've taken a little bit, like, so the quick story, I shut down on a Thursday, and you know what I thought on a Thursday? We're going to be closed. I'm going to try to pay my coaches what I can pay them while we're closed. I hope the members don't cancel. And then within 48 hours on Saturday afternoon, I said, let's have a coaches meeting. This is what we're doing Monday. And we totally pivoted. And the first thing I did was watch a Peloton video. First thing I did. Not because they know anything about exercise, because the people that are killing the game in the remote business, and some social media influencer told me that. I didn't make that up. So I went and watched it. I'm like, okay, I don't think we could be like, that's not what we do, but like we could do something like that. And we basically got together with the coaches, like, yo, we're going to have our full schedule starting Monday, and here's how we're going to do it. And the coaches had their input, and they were bought in. I made one coach a social media manager, another coach the operations and program manager, and we're doing it.
That's awesome.
And we've actually had great – and I only coach 2 or 3 hours of the classes a week. Like most of my coaches are coaching all the classes. And every time I watch them, when I coach my one – afternoon class on Wednesday or the 2 that I coach on Wednesday, I'm watching them and I'm like, shit, man, what the fuck am I going to do on camera today to outshine them? Because like, I think they're killing it. And listen, I'm watching the guys from Active Life. I'm watching the guys from Two Brain. I'm going to James Fitzgerald. I absolutely love. So I'm doing all his OPEC stuff while I'm home. And I love James too, dude. I love James. He's
great.
Favorites. But I've been paying attention to everybody. And I was like, let's take a little bit of that's working, a little bit from them. And let's because all those are systems, right? They're all, and I get why they have them, So if guys like you and me need some help, we could go there. But usually we figure it out. Like, you know what I mean? Figure it out.
I agree with that.
So we've done a really cool thing. Coaches are in. They're doing a great job. We've become more creative. We've learned this whole Zoom world. We've become really good at using Zoom. We've tightened up our inside studios to make it relatable to the person that's at home. Plus, we make it look a little bit cleaner and nicer because we're also on camera.
Yeah.
And we're characters, man. And we were in there the first week. I was in every single class saying, hey, guys, this is our chance to get fit right now. No one has a gym. What else are we going to do? And I'm like sitting there like a mayor, like talking this all up for the whole week. And now we're at a point where I'm like, damn, it's working. Okay. We're getting some new members. We're onboarding new people. So it's cool, man.
You get it. It's not – it is about fitness, but it's not only about fitness. It's about just mentally and community, like they have to be – like, listen, everybody's stressed out, man. They need that 1 hour or whatever you're giving them of just disengaging from all the shit show that's going on right now.
Dude, there's so much negativity. I'll tell you what, I was in the second wave of closings, right? So my gym was still open when gyms were starting to close, right?
Mm-hmm.
But gyms were closing they were volunteering. So when I closed, we had to close,
Yeah,
but
me too.
Things were starting to get negative. At first I was like, oh, this is going to be all right. And then society got really, really negative all of a sudden. And then it was almost like you were like this underground fight club if you were a gym that was open. So we finally shut down and it was still so negative. And then all of a sudden, when you're surrounded in this community, when you control the community and it's all positivity and no bullshit, then all of a sudden you forget what the hell's going on out there.
Yeah.
The magic of it is not the exercise. It's the community, man. It's like, do you know how to manage a team? Like, I mean, it's like managing a company. You know, but it's your people, right?
Yeah, you got to step back and, just take a big, take a look at the whole picture and make sure that, you're there supporting like whoever needs support with the coaches and the members and all that stuff. Yeah. Listen, man, I was still open, and I think Dade County had to close. I didn't even know. I wasn't paying attention. And people seeing that we were open, I got attacked. I was like, oh, I, I mean, I started getting like to the point where I was like I was going to take a group photo that we had from like 6 months ago and post it recently on the page and say, hey, yeah, we had a great workout today, guys. You want to know just to fuck with people, because you need to focus your energy on other shit, man, instead of trying to worry about everybody else. I mean, I get it. You know what? We don't want this thing to keep spreading, and but this is really, really early into it, and I'm like, well, I didn't know what I was being attacked about, and then I realized, oh, I see, because I fuck around. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna stay open and just take all your memberships, dude. And obviously I'm not. The guy's like an hour away from me, but it was funny, man, and I get it. People are stressed.
Social media, man, it's the influx of information and how fast it is. If I sat with you all day and every 5 seconds I called you a piece of shit, by the end of the day you would think you were a piece of shit. That's the thing about social media. Message over and over on the refresh, right? And it becomes real, and it becomes bigger than it is. Honestly, it was like when we were able to shut that out, everything held down. Because you notice, like, no one's talking about the other issues with the media before that. Like, I don't know. Have you heard anything about the Trump impeachment again? Have you heard anything about vapes killing everybody? What about Kobe Bryant? I mean, you don't hear about that anymore. It's funny. It's just crazy how social media works and how it, spreads, and, people get messed up.
Yeah. I just wonder what's next, I mean, after we get through this, I wonder what's going to be next,
Right? Maybe all of a sudden we actually do something to the American obesity problem, right? Yeah. And all of a sudden our report card and that health shit they put out is like at the A+ level and not at the failing. You know what I mean? Maybe that's what happens after this. I don't know. I
mean, I started seeing a glimmer of hope because I started seeing like, even the politicians are starting to kind of work together a little bit better. And I'm thinking, I remember after 9/11, our country just seemed to be so much more closer knit, and we all, it was just so much better. And then, I don't know. I'm hoping that something like that may happen again, but we'll see. We'll see. Cool deal.
Listen, I'm gonna get you that link, dude. I want you to do the sessions, man. Let me know when you're gonna attend. I'll jump in as well. We can watch it together, or we can participate together. How about that?
There you go. Sounds good, dude. All right, man.
Thanks a lot, man.
I'm glad you're doing great, man. Congratulations, bro. Keep it up, man. You're doing good things. Keep it up.
You're one of the people that started that whole thing, so thank you. Appreciate it, man.
I was just fortunate enough that you came in my doors, and I'm glad it motivated you, because trust me, if it wasn't me, it would have been somebody else. I guarantee you.
Yeah, I'm sure, man. But you come across people for a reason, brother. All right, man. I'll see you, dude. Have a good one, man.
Take care, buddy.